So you know that commercial that says, life comes at you fast? I'll say, seems like every day brings a new challenge or upset or confusing piece of news. We get criticized, cut off in traffic, rejected, abandoned, or sick. We lose people and things we love. We encounter rudeness. Our kids do scary, crazy things. It's pretty easy to allow ourselves to get weighed down. I can always tell when my mood has gone south. I start to laugh hysterically at bumper stickers like, "What part of no don't you understand?" Or, "Today just isn't your day. Tomorrow doesn't look good either." When this happens, I usually have the good sense to talk to a friend and get a shot of empathy, which really helps. But honestly, what helps the most is when someone who loves me points out the humor in my tale of woe. Laughter often really is the best medicine. Just ask Betsy and the Laughter Club folks. Comedian Bob Hope used to say, laughter is an instant vacation, almost as good as a 2-week cruise. Well, okay, maybe not, but it does release pent-up stress, relax the muscles, broaden the perspective, and open the heart, which I would call quite a payoff, wouldn't you? With so many serious situations in the world or in the face of really difficult life challenges, it seems kind of naive and childish to be lighthearted. We just can't laugh these things off, can we? Well, maybe we can. Mark Twain said, "The source of all humor is trouble and sorrow." It's irony, the ups and downs and absurdities of our shared human experience, that makes for great humor. If we didn't laugh, we'd cry, they say. Well, sometimes we do need a good cry, but just as often, I think we need a good laugh. Humor is acceptance and release. It says, this too shall pass. And anyway, it's still good to be alive today. Our situation may truly be difficult, but taking it seriously will only make it worse, while a sense of humor can lighten the load. But how can we have a light heart in the midst of big problems? Well, it's possible. Author Joni Eareckson is paralyzed. People often tell her they admire how upbeat and happy she seems. One day, while attending a conference, she was in the ladies' room when yet another woman said, "Joni, you look so beautiful and so happy. How do you do it?" "I don't do it," Joni replied. "Let me tell you honestly how I wake up every day. My husband leaves for the gym at 6 a.m., and I'm alone in the bed until I hear the front door open at 7. That's when my friend arrives to get me up. While I listen to her make coffee, I pray, 'Oh Lord, my friend will soon give me a bath, get me dressed, sit me in my chair, give me my breakfast, get me out the door and into the car, and take me to work. I don't have the strength to face this routine one more time. I am out of resources. I don't even have a smile to take into this day. But you do, God. May I have yours? Oh God, I need you desperately." "So what happens then?" the woman asked. "Well, my friend comes through the door of my room, and I give her a smile sent straight from heaven. It's not mine, it's God." And so, Joni said, gesturing to her paralyzed legs, whatever joy you see this afternoon was hard won this morning. This is what the psalmist meant when he wrote, "In our weakness lies our strength." Finally, when we're out of ideas, energy, and optimism, we turn to God, the God that lives in the center of our being, God who is all power and the source of all joy. And when we do, we always get what we need. Some things are too much for our human power alone to handle, but with God power, we can handle anything. Joy is contagious, you know. Joyful people are like magnets. People are attracted to them in hopes of catching some of what they have. The brightness and the lightheartedness, the wit, that ready sense of humor. I've heard it said that Jesus must have had a great sense of humor, or there's no way he would have been invited to dinner so often. Family problems and conflicts can really put our sense of humor to the test, can't they? I love the invitation my niece sent out for the annual family Christmas party a few years ago. It said, "Come to the family Christmas party. Help put the fun back in dysfunction." Yes, it's possible. And I'll tell you something from firsthand knowledge, a lot cheaper than a therapist. The other evening, I was thinking about my mother's last years. My mother literally decided to be an invalid. After living through a very dangerous surgery, instead of celebrating, she went home and took to her bed. She refused to do any of the things the doctor recommended to gain back her strength and mobility, so she got weaker and weaker. For years, she held court in her bedroom and granted audiences to family members and friends. Now, I gotta tell you, this situation did not strike me as very funny at the time. But the other evening, when I was thinking about it, I just cracked up. Suddenly the image of this little old lady, propped up in the bed in her elegant 18th floor apartment, with her highball in her hand, surrounded by stacks of books and crossword puzzles, while people filed in and out to pay homage, why, that just struck me as so funny. And I thought, how smart was that woman? She had control of everyone. It was a monumental sit-in, and everyone in the family bought into it. And all I could think was, isn't the perspective of time wonderful? You know, humility and humor come from the same root word, and I really can see the connection between them. They both issue out of faith. When I become so absorbed in the problems of the world that I get discouraged and down, what I'm really demonstrating is a sense of powerlessness. Now, I really don't like knowing I have no control. Come on. I know you're with me. And yet, deep down, I'm aware that powerlessness is the doorway to faith. Not faith that things will turn out the way I think they ought to, but faith in the power of love and goodness and order. The same is true for family problems, or health problems, or emotional problems, or even psychological problems. Troubles come to every person. You're no exception, and neither am I. We have this in common, in fact. And the other thing we have in common is that no matter what the problem, God, as divine order, is present, working out the solution, whether we're vigilant and filled with anxiety or relaxed and out having fun. But the thing is, when I'm relaxed and out having fun, I'm not busy making the problem worse. I know you know what I mean. One of the greatest leaps in the journey toward faith is the realization that God is not tricky or distant. If there is some action we need to take to solve a problem, we will know what it is. It will be standing right here. The idea will be paramount in our minds. So until this happens, the only action we need to take is internal. That of keeping ourselves centered, peaceful, and optimistic. And sometimes, we just need a village for that. To help us be free, to think about other things, free to enjoy life. The truth is, there's a lot more to life than one problem, no matter how big it seems. Truth is, life is a blessing, no matter what is going on. The great Sufi philosopher and poet Rumi said, "For 60 years, I have been forgetful that not for a second has the flowing toward me stopped or slowed. Today I see that I am a guest on this great good earth. I play my music for the host. Everything I do is for the host. Not for a second has the flowing toward me stopped or slowed." Think about it. This awareness is the basis for faith. What is there really to worry about? Not enough money? Well, we're housed, clothed, and fed right now, are we not? Poor health? Well, it's true. We're all going to die someday. But we're present and accounted for right now, aren't we? Relationship problems? Come on. Take a step back. Take a snapshot of those power struggles we get into with our partners. You gotta admit, most of them are pretty silly and just crying out for a dose of humor. Perhaps you have a lot of angst about a decision you have to make. Well, here's a secret. It doesn't matter which course you choose. We're all here on this planet to learn lessons, and no matter what choice we make, we're going to learn those lessons. Our egos just love to create intensity and drama, don't they? And furthermore, help make us think that all that drama and intensity is real. Well, it isn't. There's only one reality. God is, and all is well. This month, we said goodbye to our friend Kevin. And yes, there's shock and grief. For Karen, everything has changed on a dime. I spent time with her this week, and you know what I saw? That right behind her grief was the memory of love. The days, the months, the years of life shared, including the ups and the downs, the sorrow and the joy. Karen and I cried and laughed and reminisced and imagined possibilities for the future. It was a very rich couple of hours. It's a bit of a paradox that the more important the matters at hand, the more laughter is needed. It frees the mind from the past. Yeah. It relaxes anxiety. It promotes clear thinking. In the presence of joy and humor, the work, even the work of grief, gets done with ease because the ego is put to sleep. To me, it's one of the great ironies that church people can be the worst when it comes to taking things too seriously. I, for one, can get really quite perfectionistic. For example, I used to get really bent out of shape if there was a typo in the bulletin, or especially up on the screen, those great big letters. Then some wonderful anonymous person came to the rescue in Greensboro. He or she sent me an email containing some bulletin announcements from other churches, which quickly put things into perspective. Here are just a few of those. The sermon this morning, Jesus walks on the water. The sermon this evening, searching for Jesus. These are real. Our youth basketball team is back in action Wednesday at 8 p.m. Come out and watch us kill Christ the King. Don't let worry kill you off. Let the church help. Honest to God. Miss Charlene Mason sang, "I will not pass this way again," which gave great pleasure to the congregation.
That is funny.
Potluck supper this evening at 5 p.m. Prayer and medication to follow. Well, here's a good one. Bible study will be held Thursday morning at 10 a.m. All are invited to lunch in Fellowship Hall after the BS is done. And my personal favorite, the minister unveiled the church's new tithing campaign slogan last Sunday. I upped my pledge, up yours. So I stopped worrying about typos. And Christians don't have a corner on taking themselves too seriously either. Buddhism can be quite psychological and heady. Buddhist nun Pema Chodron loves to tell this story. A young woman disciple had decided to start a meditation practice on loving kindness. And sitting in her small room each morning, she would bring her attention to her heart and send out loving kindness to all beings. Yet one day, every time she went to the marketplace to buy her food, she would find her loving kindness put to the test by a shopkeeper who would subject her to unwanted, shall we say, caresses, touches. One day she couldn't stand it anymore, and she began to chase that fella down the road with an upraised umbrella. To her mortification, she passed her meditation teacher standing by the side of the road, observing the spectacle. Shamefaced, she went to stand before him, expecting to be rebuked for her violent behavior. What you should do, the teacher kindly advised her, is to fill your heart with loving kindness, and with as much mindfulness as you can muster, hit that fellow over the head with your umbrella as hard as you can. Native Americans get it too. Apache wisdom says that the Creator gave human beings the ability to talk, to run, and to see. But he was not satisfied until he also gave them the ability to laugh. Only then did the Creator say, "Now you are fit to live." No situation is so difficult that humor won't help. Recently, my son sent me a Far Side cartoon in which two inmates were sitting side by side in a prison cell. One said to the other, "Enough about me. Where did your parents go wrong?" While it's true that there's fear and ugliness in the world, there is also a river of health, cascading like a clear mountain stream through our lives. This stream is the flow of wholesome, spontaneous laughter, God's gift for refreshing and renewing our souls. Laughter is an affirmation of faith's triumph over fear. So finally, a little boy is standing in the church foyer, struggling to read a list of names on a brass plaque. The minister comes up to him and says, "Hi, Tommy." "Hi, Reverend," Tommy says. "Who are these people?" "They are members of our congregation who have died in service to the church," the minister replies. Which one, Tommy asked, the 9 or the 11:15? Well, there you go. God bless you all.